As a rheumatologist, I implore seniors to listen closely. That comforting, seemingly healthy cup of tea you drink every day could be silently sabotaging your skeleton. There is a hidden mechanism in this popular beverage that may be actively leaching the vital minerals from your bones. And I need to explain why. Your skeleton is not a static, lifeless scaffold. It's the living foundation of your entire body. Imagine it as the concrete and steel framework of a skyscraper. If that foundation begins to crumble, even slightly, the integrity of the entire structure is compromised. We often take this internal architecture for granted, assuming it will support us indefinitely. But just like any complex structure, it requires constant maintenance and protection from hidden threats that can cause slow, catastrophic decay over time. Without a strong foundation, everything built upon it is at risk. This maintenance is a dynamic process called bone remodeling. Think of it as a constant renovation crew working inside your bones. One team, the osteoclasts, is responsible for demolition, breaking down old, tired bone tissue. They are followed by another team, the osteoblasts, who are the builders, laying down new, strong bone matrix. Throughout your youth and early adulthood, these two teams work in perfect harmony, ensuring your skeleton remains robust and dense. This balance is the very definition of skeletal health, a silent, microscopic dance that dictates your future strength. As we enter our senior years, however, this delicate balance begins to shift. For a variety of hormonal and metabolic reasons, the demolition crew starts to work a little faster and more aggressively than the construction crew. More bone is broken down than is rebuilt. This gradual net loss of bone density is what we call osteopenia, and when it becomes severe, it's known as osteoporosis. It's a subtle, incremental process that happens over decades, but its cumulative effect can be devastating to your quality of life. The most frightening aspect of this bone loss is its silent nature. You don't feel your bones getting thinner. There is no pain, no warning sign, no symptom to alert you that your internal framework is becoming dangerously porous and fragile. For millions, the very first indication that anything is wrong is the sudden, sharp crack of a bone. The first sign is often the last warning, a fracture from a minor fall or a simple misstep that would have been harmless just a few years earlier. This silence is what makes prevention so absolutely critical. A fracture of the hip or a vertebra for a senior is not a simple injury. It is a life-altering event. It often signals the start of a steep decline, leading to chronic pain, a profound loss of independence, and a significantly increased risk of mortality in the year following the break. The ability to walk, to shop for groceries, to live in one's own home all can be lost in an instant. This is the reality I see in my clinic, and it's why I am so passionate about identifying every possible risk factor, especially the ones that masquerade as healthy habits. We are often told to avoid the obvious culprits that harm our bones, and this advice is sound. Sugary sodas, with their high levels of phosphoric acid, can disrupt the body's calcium balance, creating an acidic environment that can be detrimental. We know that these drinks offer no nutritional value and contribute to a host of health problems, with skeletal weakness being a significant, though often overlooked, consequence. Cutting them out of your diet is one of the simplest and most effective first steps you can take for your overall health, including that of your bones. Similarly, a diet overloaded with sodium is a well-known adversary to bone density. When you consume excess salt, your kidneys work overtime to excrete it through urine. Unfortunately, as the sodium is flushed out, it takes calcium along with it. This means that even if you are consuming enough calcium in your diet, a high salt intake can cause you to lose a significant portion of it before your body ever has a chance to use it to fortify your skeleton. It is a classic case of one step forward, two steps back in the quest for strong bones. And of course, we cannot ignore the lifestyle factors. A sedentary life, devoid of weight-bearing exercise, sends a signal to your body that strong bones are not a priority, accelerating the remodeling imbalance. Smoking is directly toxic to bone-building cells, the osteoblasts, while also impairing calcium absorption. Excessive alcohol consumption can interfere with the production of hormones that protect your bones, and can disrupt the body's vitamin D pathways, which are essential for calcium utilization. These are the big, obvious villains. After hearing this, many of you might feel a sense of relief. You may think to yourself, I don't drink soda, I watch my salt intake, I don't smoke, and I exercise regularly. I must be safe. This is precisely the mindset that can lead to a false sense of security. You have diligently avoided all the well-publicized enemies of bone health, and I commend you for it. You believe you have built a fortress around your skeleton, protecting it from all the common threats that doctors and health articles warn you about. But here is the unsettling truth I have observed in my practice. A concerning number of my patients who come in with fragility fractures are individuals who have done everything right. They are active, non-smokers with balanced diets. They have meticulously avoided the junk foods and unhealthy habits we just discussed. Yet, their bones have failed them. This clinical reality forced me to look deeper, beyond the usual suspects, to find the hidden variable that was undermining all their good efforts. The most insidious danger to your bones may not come from a vice or an obviously unhealthy food. It does not advertise its presence with sugar or grease. Instead, it hides in plain sight, often cloaked in the comforting labels of natural, traditional, and healthy. It is an integral part of a daily ritual for millions, a ritual believed to promote calm and well-being, all while a silent process of mineral depletion may be taking place with every single sip that is taken. To understand this, we must first introduce the concept of, and this term sounds alarming, but it simply refers to natural compounds found in many plants. These compounds are part of the plant's defense system, designed to protect it from being eaten by insects and other predators. While they are not harmful to us in small amounts, in larger quantities, they can interfere with our body's ability to absorb essential vitamins and minerals from the food we eat. They can be a significant roadblock in our nutritional highway. You are already familiar with some of these antinutrients, perhaps without realizing it. Phytates, for instance, are found in the bran of whole grains and the hulls of nuts and seeds. They combine two minerals like iron, zinc, and calcium, preventing their absorption. Lectins found in legumes and grains can also interfere with nutrient absorption, if not properly deactivated by cooking. The key takeaway is that the presence of a nutrient in a food does not guarantee its availability to your body. If antinutrients are also present in high amounts, one of the most potent of these antinutrients, particularly concerning for bone health, is a group of compounds called oxalates. Oxalates are organic acids found in numerous plants, from leafy greens to nuts and seeds. Their defining characteristic is an extraordinary ability to bind very tightly with minerals, most notably calcium. When you consume foods high in oxalates, these compounds can latch onto the calcium in your digestive tract, forming an insoluble crystal called calcium oxalate. Imagine you are trying to deposit money in a bank. The calcium is the money, and your bones are the bank account. Now, imagine that a thifter oxalate is waiting on the path to the bank. This thief grabs your money and puts it in a locked box that the bank cannot open. The money is there, but it is completely inaccessible. This is precisely what happens in your gut. The oxalates lock up the calcium, and this insoluble complex is simply excreted from your body, unused. The calcium never reaches your bloodstream and, consequently, never reaches your bones. This brings us to the crucial concept of bioavailability. It is not about how much calcium you ingest. It is about how much calcium your body can actually absorb and utilize. You could be diligently consuming calcium-rich foods or taking supplements, but if your diet is also consistently high in oxalates, a significant portion of that calcium is being neutralized before it can do its job. Your net calcium gain could be far lower than you think, creating a deficit that your body will have to correct by drawing from its only available reserve. And now we arrive at the heart of the matter. One of the most concentrated, consistently consumed sources of these potent oxalates in the modern diet is not a leafy green or an exotic grain. It is found in a warm, comforting beverage that millions of people around the globe use to start their day or to wind down in the afternoon. A beverage that has been lauded for its antioxidants and other health benefits, creating a dangerous health halo that obscures its potential downside for skeletal health. Let us put some common healthy drinks under the microscope to understand why this specific tea is so uniquely problematic. Take fruit juices, for example. While they come from fruit, their main drawback is the high concentration of sugar and complete lack of fiber, which can lead to blood sugar spikes and inflammation. However, they are not a primary culprit when it comes to actively interfering with mineral absorption in the way that our mystery beverage is. They present a different set of problems. What about the popular green smoothies? These can be a fantastic source of vitamins and nutrients. However, they can also become oxalate bombs depending on the ingredients. A smoothie packed with raw spinach, for example, can deliver a massive dose of oxalates. While this is a concern, the consumption pattern is often less consistent than a daily multi-cup tea habit. This brings us closer to the mechanism, but it is not yet our main suspect due to the ritualistic nature of our target beverage. Then there is coffee. Coffee has been studied extensively in relation to bone health. While very high consumption may be associated with a small increase in fracture risk, the mechanism is different. It's thought to have a mild effect on calcium excretion, but it does not contain the high levels of the specific mineral-binding compounds we are most concerned about here. For most people, moderate coffee consumption is not considered a major threat to the skeleton, separating it from our primary beverage of concern. Finally, we can consider most herbal teas, such as chamomile, peppermint, or ginger tea. For the most part, these infusions are perfectly safe for your bones. They are generally free from the compounds that cause us concern. They contain negligible amounts of oxalates and other antinutrients that could interfere with your body's calcium balance. This process of elimination helps us to narrow down our search, pointing us directly toward a specific type of plant and the brew made from its leaves. None of these other beverages combine the high concentration of mineral-binding oxalates with another, often overlooked, problematic element that can directly compromise the quality of the bone matrix itself. This unique two-pronged threat is what makes the chronic heavalium consumption of one particular tea so concerning for at-risk populations. The beverage I am urging seniors to be cautious about is black tea. Let me be perfectly clear. The problem is not the occasional, enjoyable cup of black tea. The danger lies in the chronic heavalium consumption to the habit of drinking 3, 4, or more cups every single day, year after year. This is particularly true for individuals who are already at a higher risk for bone loss, such as postmenopausal women and the elderly. It is the cumulative dose over time that transforms this comforting ritual into a potential threat to your skeletal integrity. The first part of this dual threat, as we have discussed, is the extremely high concentration of oxalates. Black tea is one of the richest dietary sources of these compounds. When you drink multiple cups throughout the day, you are continuously bathing your digestive system in a substance that actively seeks out and binds to the calcium from your meals, the calcium from your yogurt, your leafy greens, or your fortified milk. It effectively creates a blockade, preventing this essential mineral from ever reaching your bones. The second less discussed threat from black tea is fluoride. The tea plant, Camellia sinensis, is a hyperaccumulator of fluoride from the soil. The older the tea leaf, the more fluoride it contains. Many of the most popular and affordable black tea bags on the market are made from these older, more mature leaves, and consequently, they can have surprisingly high levels of fluoride. While some fluoride is beneficial for dental health, excessive intake is another matter entirely. Excessive fluoride intake from sources like Hawaiian tea consumption can lead to a condition called skeletal fluoride. This is a cruel paradox for your bones. The fluoride gets incorporated into the bone matrix, which actually increases bone mineral density. Your bones become thicker and heavier. However, this new bone is structurally unsound. It is brittle, less elastic, and more prone to fracture. So, while a scan might show a denser bone, its functional strength is severely compromised. It becomes like glass hard, but fragile. So, here you have the perfect storm, a one-two punch against your skeleton. On one hand, the high load of oxalates from the black tea is actively preventing new calcium from being absorbed and delivered to your bones to repair and strengthen them. On the other hand, the potential for excessive fluoride from that same tea is compromising the structural quality of the bone you already have, making it more brittle and susceptible to breaking under stress. It's a two-pronged attack on both supply and structure. Who is most at risk from this double-barreled threat? The primary group is seniors, especially postmenopausal women, whose bone density is already declining due to hormonal changes. Also at high risk are individuals with a low baseline intake of dietary calcium, as they have less extra calcium to spare. Finally, those with compromised kidney function are particularly vulnerable, as their bodies have a harder time clearing excess fluoride and managing mineral balance, amplifying the negative effects. This is where the term leaching from the title becomes literal. When your body senses that blood calcium levels are low, perhaps because oxalates from your tea have prevented dietary calcium from being absorbed, activates a hormonal response. The parathyroid glands release a hormone that sends a message to your bones. That message is an urgent command. Release calcium into the bloodstream immediately. We need it for critical functions like muscle contraction and nerve signaling. Think of your bones as your body's calcium savings account. It's where you store this vital mineral for a rainy day. Every time your dietary intake and absorption falls short, your body makes a withdrawal from this account to keep the system running. An occasional small withdrawal is no problem. The account is designed for that. But if you are making large withdrawals every single day, year after year, because of a dietary habit, you will eventually deplete your savings, leading to a state of skeletal bankruptcy. So what constitutes excessive consumption? While there is no single magic number that applies to everyone, for at-risk populations, a consistent intake of more than 3 to 4 strong cups of black tea per day is where concern begins to mount. If your diet is also low in calcium, even less could be problematic. It is the chronicity of the habit that matters. A single cup is not the issue. It is the relentless, daily exposure that allows these subtle mechanisms to inflict significant, long-term damage. Fortunately, the solution here is not about complete prohibition, but about intelligent mitigation. The simplest and most effective strategy is a traditional one. Add a splash of calcium-rich milk, or a fortified plant-based alternative to your black tea. The science is elegant. The calcium in the milk binds with the oxalates directly in your teacup, forming the insoluble calcium oxalate before it even enters your digestive system. This neutralized complex then passes through your body without being absorbed, effectively disarming the threat. Another powerful solution is to simply choose your tea more wisely. You don't have to give up the ritual of a warm cup. Consider switching some or all of your black tea consumption to alternatives that are much lower in oxalates and fluoride. High-quality green tea and white tea generally have lower levels. Even better are herbal infusions, or tisanes, like rooibos, chamomile, mint, or ginger tea. These are naturally caffeine-free and do not contain the compounds that pose a risk to your bone health. Ultimately, this is not a message of fear, but of empowerment. It is not about taking away a simple pleasure. It is about understanding the subtle biochemistry at play, so you can make smarter choices to protect your long-term health and independence. Being strategic about your tea consumption by moderating your intake, always adding milk, or diversifying your choices is a small adjustment that can pay huge dividends for the health and resilience of your skeleton for years to come. In summary, that comforting ritual of drinking multiple cups of black tea each day, while seemingly harmless, may carry a hidden risk to your bone structure through a dual thread of mineral binding, oxalates, and potentially excessive fluoride. The good news is that you now have the knowledge to protect yourself. You can mitigate this risk by simply adding milk, moderating your consumption, or switching to safer alternatives like herbal teas. If this video has helped you understand how to better protect your health, please give it a like and subscribe for more science-based advice. Always discuss significant dietary changes with your doctor, and to continue strengthening your health, watch our next video on the 3 worst foods for arthritis.